From the studios at the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, this is Fourth and State. In this edition, I will chat with Elisabeth MacNamara, president of the League of Women Voters. MacNamara will discuss the efforts of the League in this election. My name is James Causey, and I'm an editorial writer and columnist with the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel editorial board. Today, I'm joined with Elisabeth MacNamara, president of the League of Women Voters. Hi, Elisabeth.
Hi, how are you?
Pretty good, pretty good. So I want to talk to you first of all about voter ID.
Yes.
Your organization is against voter ID. Can you tell me why?
We believe that one of the reason that we are the greatest democracy in the world is because of our history of voting rights and because our elections are free, fair, and accessible to every eligible citizen. We believe that voter ID and other efforts to restrict voting or make it more difficult for eligible citizens to register or participate in our democracy erect barriers that are completely unnecessary to the integrity of the voting process. We believe that the process is going to have its greatest integrity if we ensure that every eligible citizen has a free and fair opportunity to vote.
What would you say to someone who says, what about voter fraud?
Well, you know, we know that voters are concerned about politicians manipulating election laws for their own benefit. And we believe that that is the kind of fraud that Americans are most concerned about, and we will do everything possible. We've been doing everything possible to make sure that our election laws are not manipulated and that Americans every eligible voter has an opportunity to get out and vote, particularly in this extremely important election.
Around Milwaukee, I've noticed that there have been billboards around talking about voter fraud, and some have said you could do jail time, and there's a financial fine or something to that nature. What are these billboards intended to do?
Well, our concern with these billboards, regardless of what someone intends in putting them up, our concern with messages like that is it's going to discourage eligible voters from getting registered, getting informed, and getting out and vote in this election. And the clear message from the League is that we need people not to be discouraged. We want everybody to understand how important this election is and that you've got an opportunity to register to vote here in Wisconsin. As a matter of fact, you can register to vote even on Election Day, which is just a wonderful tool, and that it is important that we come together as a community, we come together to solve our problems. We do that on Election Day, and no billboard, nothing that some other person puts up should discourage anyone from going out, registering, and having their voice heard in this election.
Let's talk a little bit about voter enthusiasm. There's been some talk that the enthusiasm is not the same as it was in 2008, that it may be down, especially for the Democrats. Have you heard anything like that?
You know, this is the 8th state that I have visited since actually September 11th.
Okay.
And I have been meeting with League members and meeting with election officials. I've been talking to representatives of the media in all of those states. And I'm not seeing a lack of enthusiasm. In fact, what we're seeing is our volunteers out in all over communities, in all 50 states, registering voters, providing voters information. We provide information through our website, vote411.org. A lot of interest in finding out how do I register? How do I check my registration? What do I need to bring with me to the polls? And the League is there to answer those questions and provide that information in communities all over the country. So if there's a lack of enthusiasm, I'm not seeing it in the states that I've been in.
That's fantastic. Can you talk a little bit about how long your organization has been in existence and where do you stand on, what's the goal of the organization?
Well, the League of Women Voters was founded 92 years ago. We arose directly out of the fight to get women the right to vote. And one of the very first efforts that the League undertook was to make sure that we completely understood state election laws, and we got all these newly enfranchised women understood the political process and had the information that they needed to go out and cast an informed vote. And we've been doing that for 92 years. Our interest is in making sure that our elections remain free, fair, and accessible to every eligible voter, and that every eligible voter has the information that he or she needs in order to go to the polls and have their voice heard at election time.
Now, you're still registering voters now.
Yes.
And do you have any idea what type of turnout you expect in November?
You know, that's always difficult. That's always difficult for us to predict because we're working constantly to make sure that we can increase registrations. We are working constantly to make sure that voters have information and encouraging voters to go out to the polls. Certainly, we hope and continue to encourage every voter, every eligible voter, check your registration. If you're not registered, get registered. If you need to change something with your registration, get that taken care of now. Know what your early voting periods are, know where your polling places are, and the league is there to provide you with that support, because the best election are the elections where we get a large turnout and we get a lot of people out to make their voices heard.
Okay, last question. 12 years ago, there were a lot of problems at the
Right.
polls, and mostly in Florida. Do you anticipate anything like that this time around?
You know, every state sets its own. It has its own election system. I think standards have improved considerably since the 2000 election, thanks to the Help America Vote Act. But the best thing that can happen is for voters to have the information that they need, to know what to expect at the polls, and the league stands ready to provide that information both before an election and also on election day. There will be a lot of resources available for voters if they have any questions or they have any problems. We'll have folks at the polls that will be able to help. I think that hopefully, from what I'm seeing, at least here in Milwaukee, I think folks are ready and that your system will run smoothly. But folks need to folks need to make sure that they understand what to expect. And if you have any questions, go to vote411.org or ask the League of Women Voters.
And right now, you do not have to bring ID to the polls in Wisconsin.
That is correct.
Okay. Well, thanks a lot. This was very informational, and people just have to get out to vote.
That's absolutely. Go vote. That's the best thing. Get registered, get informed, and get out and vote.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.